All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for braving the snow to come to see us today. This is the iPad and tablet users group. My name is Chris, and I am a grad student, instructional designer, educational technologist here at Purdue. I work for ITAP, and we have all these lovely support people also from ITAP who want to show you some neat things today. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. What we're typically going to do is we had said in our email that our kind of a theme for today was going to be communications apps. So we have a couple of different demonstrations that we'd like to show you that would take a couple minutes. And then after that, we would welcome any of you, if you have anything you'd like to share, to come up and do so. And it could be communication apps or anything else. So let us get started. Yes, first of all, we're going to have Adam. We've had this discussion the last couple meetings about using an Apple TV to project wirelessly, like we're doing here in this room today with my iPad up here in the front. And Adam has an update, I guess, for us about that process. Perhaps not much of an update, but an update.
Okay, so the question keeps coming up about when will Apple TV actually be compatible with the classroom, with the traditional, TIC sites, Tech in the Classroom, because currently it's only available with the 3 redesigned learning spaces in HICS. So we have had a somewhat successful test. We don't have all of the bugs worked out, but in a lab setting, we have made it work. We're still doing some work to make sure that it's going to be something that will be scalable and that it's not going to crash and burn once we launch it, campus-wide, but we are still working on that. So we've done, or been in, or not negotiations, but we've done some work with Cisco. We're doing a lot of work with the wireless controllers, and we're getting close. So I guess I'll kind of leave it at that. It is something that it looks like it will be manageable. We're working on the processes right now more than we are anything else, but the technology is looking promising right now.
So yeah, right now we're having to do workarounds by having this broadcast on our own network as opposed to through PAL and through the wired connection. So that's what we're trying to get taken care of. So thank you, Adam, for the update. All right. So there's that. So last time we had talked a little bit about new tablets that are coming out, and we didn't really know much about the Microsoft Surface Pro. And so now that it has been released, we have learned things about it from the reviews. And basically, that is that we're talking as a tablet, $899,999. That's the 64 gig or the 128 gig model of the Surface Pro. Keeping in mind that the operating system and the recovery partition takes 45 gigabytes of whatever you buy. So if you get the 64 gig one, then you're left with about 20 gigs of usable space. However, I think that the plus is that you have native Windows programs and apps. You can run regular Office and PowerPoint. Obviously, I think that's something that educators are interested in. There's also a pen, like a Wacom pen, included. Doesn't have any place to go, like in the tablet, but it magnetically attaches to the power, where the power supply goes. 2 USB ports, 1 micro SD port. So you can hook up peripherals. You can also have USB drives, extra memory, things like that. Battery life is the big question on this one. The difference between this and a tablet like an iPad is that it's an actual computer. So when you're running an Intel chip versus these proprietary chips or low-power chips, then you don't quite get the battery that you do with Apple products or even some of the Android tablets. So right now it looks like battery life's about 3 or 4 hours. It's almost like a laptop battery life with more of a laptop/tablet performance. I'm hoping to get my hands on one of these to bring maybe to a meeting, but I'm not going to hold my breath too long on that. But it's just something I think, I'm not sure that this generation of them is going to be great. Of course, they're always saying the next generation of chips is going to be better. So they're like, the Surface Pro 2 is going to be the one to get. I don't know about that, but anyway. The other thing that's kind of interesting about the Surface Pro, I think one of the things people like about it is it has that magnetic keyboard. I don't know if you've seen those. They have their commercials where they're snapping them together. That's actually not included in the price. So if you want a keyboard that's on top of, it's already a little pricey, I think, when it's in the tablet market. If you want an extra keyboard, it's an extra $120 for one of the type ones. I think the one that doesn't have actual keys is $110. So something to keep in mind. Again, I've heard some people love it, some people hate it. I wish I could give you a first-hand account, but it's something I think could be interesting for business and education in terms of what it can do as being an actual computer running Windows programs. And I thought this was interesting. We have an update kind of on what, this was taken a little after Christmas. We're talking about web traffic and different types of tablets. And it's kind of interesting to see what the market shares are. The Apple market share is still what you would call significant. But the interesting thing is that number has been dropping, and the other ones have been rising. The Kindle Fire, the Galaxy, Nexus, web surfing numbers. And of course, you can extrapolate what you will out of web surfing too. It's not units sold, but I think it's still kind of interesting. And one last little part before we get to the demo, we have our rumors. Next iPad, October-ish. Next Nexus, August-ish. Well, it's like, you always, in the tablet world, you always want to have the shiniest new thing that can do that one feature that you really wanted on the last one you had. So that's why it's always kind of interesting to think about trying to see what the rumors are going to be for the stuff coming out. So that's the news and rumors update for the iPad. So let's talk about apps. As I said in the email, this time we were talking about talking about communication apps. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but I think if we say communication app, what's the first thing we think of? Anyone?
Email.
What was that? Email? Email? Yes. What else? Phone. Okay, I can dial on I can use Vonage on my iPad. What else? Skype. Yeah. So I think there are a lot of ubiquitous types or software names that we have on our tongues here for different types of communication. Email, and I think email is always interesting because they're always saying that texting is killing email. Texting, no one wants to type, and then the Microsoft one comes out with a cover to make typing easier. So it's always interesting to see what the trends are. What I want to do is, I just wanted to demonstrate Skype for just a second. And to do that, we realized that perhaps we were having too much of an iPad overload for this group. So we have our Android tablet here that I can sometimes remember where the button is to turn it on. There we go. So we have our Android tablet. And of course, the nice thing about Skype is that it doesn't matter what tablet you're using or what software you're using, you can connect to other people who also have Skype. So on my Android here, I can go into Skype, and I can navigate it perhaps, if it's going to work. Let's see here. Is Adam in here? I don't know. Maybe you're not.
You're using your account?
Yeah.
There.
See, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water.
I'll call you.
Okay. That might be faster. Oh, look. Adam's calling me. And I can turn on my... I'm going to kill the mic, though, so that way I don't get feedback. So you can see here, Adam has his iPad over there. There we are. So We can run our video conferencing, or however we want to do it. We can use this Android, we can use our iPad to connect to each other. We have our cameras, we can call, if we have money in our account, we can call landlines. Computer calls are free, so calling each other's iPads or calling each other's computers, no problem. You start having a charge when you start having multiple people. So if you have 3 people you want to connect all together in video, that's when you start having you have to have a professional account for that, I believe. And then what's the deal? Do these do, you can't do multiple people with the iPad?
So the way that it works, if you're using Skype from iPad, you can't initiate a multi-party call from the iPad, but you can participate in one that somebody started from either a PC or a Mac. The one downside of doing that, if you're just going audio only, it works fine, and I haven't seen any problems. But Skype has not allowed multiple video windows to display within the iPad app. So if you actually want to see multiple people, you're going to have to be on a PC or on a Mac. Now, I have not seen if the Skype app for Windows 8, if that's any different, since they do have more real estate. I think the reason that Skype decided we don't want multiple tiles for video was just that you don't have that much real estate on the screen, and how much value are you actually going to get from it. But one-way calls work wonderful.
So there's no point to get the professional ones if you are going to use an iPad?
Well, it depends on, like I said, it depends on what you're trying to use it. If you're going for audio only, then it's fine as long as whoever's going to start the call is on a PC. Because to do group video conferencing or group calling with Skype, you only need one person with a professional account, and then they can invite anybody that's got just a general account. So.
You never know what's going to happen on the surface, since Microsoft owns Skype. I suppose also you could run. You could run the regular web-based or the regular software as opposed to an app. So I would assume that you might be able to get multiple screens. Although what happens when you when you assume. All right. So that is Skype. Just real quick, and again, I figure out how to turn off my Android tablet here. Off. Okay. The next thing we wanted to talk about is, not that. Next thing I wanted to talk about was Adobe Connect. How many of you have used Adobe Connect on campus? So, a couple. All right. So Adobe Connect is currently our solution for video conferencing through web-based software. And if I can finally get this to go up here. So Adobe Connect does have, so it normally runs through, I think, does it run through Flash in your browsers? So obviously Flash and Apple don't have a nice relationship with each other. But what has happened is iPad and Android apps are available for Adobe Connect. So I think I lost my sharing. I'm not getting it to wake up, Adam.
Go ahead and put it to sleep. Update later. And then
Maybe if I...
Well, if you go into the settings and you put the Apple TV to sleep and then wake it back up, it'll allow you to do that again.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm not going to worry about it. Anyway, so for the Adobe Connect app, we have, again, you can join the app through, you can join a room that's already been created through the app. And we're actually doing that right now with Patrick, who is monitoring the Adobe Connect room we have right now with his Android tablet. And you can see his view that he has. And
in fact, it's the same thing with iPad.
Yeah. So, Connie, do you want to talk about what you can do with the Apple or with the iPad? Although I don't. Yeah. bring up. I'm going to bring it up if you want to go ahead and get started as I get more.
Okay. Hi, I'm Constance. I am a graduate assistant, and I also work for ITAP in teaching and learning technologies. And with the Adobe Connect product, in terms of getting the app itself, you would go to the iPad store and download the app. The app is free. And once you do that, you would actually configure the app, i.e. use your whatever your Go Meet site is, you would enter that in as the URL. And once that's done, then what you would do is, or whoever set the meeting up would determine whether or not you were going to be a host or a presenter for the meeting. If you're a host for the meeting, you have also the ability to set the settings for the meeting, who can actually become a presenter or not. All right. And what we did earlier today is we just took some screenshots of it just to give you an idea of some of the capabilities that you would have if you were an iPad user or if you had students that were going to be dialing into your classroom. All right.
Actually, we're just going to show it kind of live here.
Okay. All right. In terms of like the left-hand side of your screen, you can see all of the attendees who are actually in the meeting itself. So you can see that what Joseph is doing, his microphone, that's that blinking icon up there, he's adjusting his microphone. And Akeisha, what are you actually doing with yours? Oh, she's okay, she's not doing anything. But you know, all you like me to do. Why don't you turn the sound up? Turn the speaker up.
It's echo.
Oh, okay. Well,
I should have had a headset with me so that you would hear that. I'll turn it up so you can see what happens. Oh, it's not bad, right?
Okay. So you can, once again, you can see all of the attendees. Okay. All right. Okay, so you can hear all of the attendees, see all of the attendees for the meeting. Okay, so that's the people person icon on the left-hand side. You can see that there are 9 people who are actually attending this meeting. All right, Chris, so if you would click the camera then.
All right.
Okay, and then the camera itself shows actually Chris and what's going on in...
We're broadcasting Patrick's camera right here.
Okay.
Since I'm signed in as a guest, I can't use my camera unless one of the hosts approves me to use it.
All right. Okay, then next icon. Okay, and these are just the private record, just the conversations that are going on being posted in the meeting. If you scroll down, here's where an attendee can raise their hand in the meeting. So what this would be is if a person clicked the raised hand icon, then the host would actually see that someone has raised their hand and they could call on that person and ask a question. So if you're in class or if you're in a meeting, then that would be a very beneficial
It's a number that appears by the person's icon showing that the hand is raised.
Okay.
You see?
There's the numbers over here.
right, there's the blue number.
Yeah, you can see her hand.
Okay, so Akeisha has raised her hand. And that way you can call on the person in the meeting. Chris, if you would click on that icon again.
That one?
Yes. And then you can see you can have your speakers increase in terms of a louder, softer, slow it down, or speed it up. So you can give a lot of, or the meeting attendees can give a lot of other feedback to the host or presenter so that they can actually see what's going on and make sure that the person is actually following along. And then Chris, with the right. All right.
If you want to go back to the cameras, I have an example of the camera on the...
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
All right, so with the
Throw us in a
camera...
weird spot.
All right, so with the camera, you can see multiple people.
So if you press play on the mine camera there.
Okay. Okay, so when he switches the camera around to look at himself, you can see how that would actually present up on the screen. So in this way, people can actually see who's talking.
And you can see, again, with the participants, you can see who's using mobile devices, obviously.
Right, right, and those are the little icons by like Patrick, my name, Chris's name, and Akeisha's name. So it's really very easy as an app to use. If you had to explain it to your students or someone attending a meeting that you were actually facilitating, this is very easy to set up. It takes no more than like 5 minutes to do and test. Any questions? Okay. Yes.
I just want to add one thing with the layouts. Can you talk a little bit about the layouts at the bottom?
Oh, I'm not.
Oh, you just,
I'm not a host.
Right. Yeah, if you were a host, instead of just seeing the layout screen, there would be multiple layouts where you could. It's three of them. One of them is collaborator. And what are the others?
Share and discuss, I think.
Okay.
So it's not quite as robust if you use the iPad or tablet tool, but you can still get a lot of the broad strokes of the software you can use with it. Thank you, Karen. You're welcome. All right, and we had one more that we were going to try, and that was one other way that we could have collaboration, and that is to use Google Hangouts. I don't know if you've ever used a Google Hangout before. That is a feature or a function of Google Plus, you know, that thing that's kind of fighting with Facebook on who wants to be your social network, right? So I have Google up. Okay, well, why is that not working? Oh, if I send it to the screen, that helps. There we go. So I have a Google Plus open, and am I creating a Hangout, Akeisha, or are you creating it? Okay, Akeisha's going to create a Hangout, and let's see if it's going to appear here. I use my Google Plus so much that I haven't looked at it. Okay, is that going to be up here probably? Oh, there we are. So now I can join this Google Plus Hangout that Akeisha invited me to on her iPad. Yeah, that would probably be good. Thank you, Akeisha. So this is using the, which app is this?
This is the Google Plus let me go, I'll exit out of it.
Okay. I can, let me send it to the screen. You might have to zoom out a little bit on it, but there we are.
So this is actually Google Plus. This is one of Google's official apps. So you can actually see it. And Google Plus, so you would put a plus sign next to it. They try to keep it simple. And it lets you have all of the features that you would normally have in Google Plus. And one of the things is in Facebook, they encourage you to invite friends, but then what Google Plus does and what will come into play with Hangouts is they invite you to create a circle. And what that is a collection of people that you have a commonality with. So, for example, it might be a circle for Purdue faculty. You can create another it wouldn't be called a sub-circle, but a separate circle that may be faculty that are in your department, or ITAP. And that comes in convenient when you know that you regularly want to talk with people. Instead of having to type in each person's name whenever you want to chat, you can just have that circle there and type the name of that circle in, and automatically all those people are invited. They don't have to all attend, and at least just one has to attend in order for the call to actually get started. One thing, it's a limit to how many people that can take place. The video and audio will work for everyone, but only 10 users at a time can actually be in a Google Hangout. And how they accommodate for other users is that if through a PC, you can set it up, and you have to have a cell phone. You can verify your account through a cell phone and a YouTube account, and you can choose to broadcast your Google Hangouts so that other people who aren't directly in the room can also have access to it. So you may, for example, have a guest speaker in your class that you're talking to in the Hangout, and may broadcast that in real time to all of your students. Say you have 600 students in your class. They can chat and ask questions, but they wouldn't actually be in the actual room if you exceed 10. So let me go ahead and type in, I set up a circle, and it's going to be called, and right now only one person, you can have a circle with just one person in it.
It's more of a line, but.
And I'm going to start the Hangout and wait for Chris to join. And you know what I'll do? I will flip my camera around so that I am looking at you and I'm looking at the audience.
Should I join?
Yes, please join. I'll show you. Mine says, wait, as you can see, it says, oh.
Did I miss the?
Try refreshing your page.
This one.
Okay, there we go. You don't have video on there, right?
No, I don't.
Okay, so since he doesn't have video on there, what it does is it picks up whoever's making the most noise. So if you're in a room that's noisy, even if you're not talking, the camera's going to gravitate towards you. However, so it's best to try to do a Google Talk inside of a room that's that's quiet, so that the camera can recognize what voice is supposed to broadcast from. Now, some of the limitations, and I'll put this.
Does that look good?
I don't want to shake it. But one thing, the difference between the Google app and if you're interfacing with a PC or Apple is that you can't use many of these features that are listed right here from your app. And you can't share it. The only feature that you can really share is the screen share. And so you can choose which screen that you will show to the person that's on the app. But none of the other functions enabled. So the advantage of using Google Apps on your iPad or Android device is if you want to do a true video conference. That's the one advantage with multiple users. And it is free to use. Well, sharing as long as you're okay with sharing your data with Google. Otherwise, it's free to use.
All right, does anyone have any questions about the Google Circles or Google Plus? No. All right, well, thank you, Keisha.
All right.
I now feel part of a circle. Right.
That was painful.
What Chris just said, that was a painful joke.
Comments to be made after. No. So, okay, that is pretty much what we had wanted to present today in terms of communication tools. Obviously, these are not the be-all and end-all of communication tools, but I think they're the ones that we tend to gravitate to because they seem to work very well. They seem to be cross-platform, and for us, they're pretty much free. So, you know, the big things, free, probably number one. I don't know. But anyway, so is anyone interested in doing any app sharing today? Does anyone have anything they wanted to show that you found interesting?
I'll show it some point if I'm allowed to show Windows 8. I think.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been to all the things, but I did finally get a new toy. So I went through. I'm John Lumkus, by the way. And, I'm probably stepped on it. So I went through the iPhone, iPad, Android, and got tired of traveling and bringing both with me, and did a lot of research when Windows 8 tablets came out. I got the Asus one, which, yeah, I'll put that on there, I'll just, so on clicks, you get the full tablet, but it's Windows 8 Pro, so it's basically my, not desktop replacement in speed, but, and I'll show you some of the things on there. The keyboard comes with, when you buy it separate, it's a little heavier, it's about the same weight, but it's got another 8 to 10 hour battery life in there, and this is 8 to 10 hours. So I probably can fly all the way to China and work the whole time and not worry about running out of battery, which was a fun thing. So typical Windows 8. And I'll show you both the good and the bad. So to me, aside from the Windows and all that other stuff, it's the first device I can finally travel and not bring another device with me, because otherwise if I had to do work on PowerPoint and actually get all the animations in or do presentations where I brought my laptop and I brought my tablet. So making PowerPoint and everything is perfectly fine. This is Office 2013, so you can use either the apps or obviously anything that Windows software you can put on. I'll show you one of the, so what I do is I use it for lecturing, and this particular tablet has a, Wacom built-in digitizer. So when I get the pen within a ½ inch of the screen, it switches, and I can go on there and touch the screen all I want. The capacitive part's turned off, and it's I think 1024 pressure sensitive. So this was one of my slides from this morning, and I forgot to bring it. I had another meeting up in Armstrong, but I have a Wi-Fi dongle basically that I plug into the monitor port. This connects it on Wi-Fi, so I can walk around the classroom, annotate my slides, give my lecture, download basically full PowerPoint on there. That's what I worked for a long time with. iPad not as long, I switched to Android, but trying to remote desktop and just annotating on slides. And I don't know, maybe there's apps out there now to do that, but I always struggled to actually do the way I wanted to annotate slides during lectures. So now you can pick your pens and your styles, just like if you're sitting at a desktop or full tablet. So essentially it's a tablet PC. So this has all been working great. I'll show you the one limitation. So obviously the Surface Pro is out now, and we open that up. So one of the things I do is a hobby, digital photography. So if you got a 24 megapixel camera, you get raw pixels, I edit it and work with it in Lightroom. I put Lightroom on there and it runs. Unfortunately on here I didn't open up I forgot to have my raw files on here. It takes a long time to open raw files, and if you start dragging around the sliders, it's going to bog down. The Surface Pro would not, but the battery life on that I think is 6 hours, about the same. So when I opted for this, knowing that I had my other laptop, I opted for I think it's the Atom processor, the Z2760 or something, which is nice. It's got the always-on Wi-Fi, the complete system on a chip technology. So the battery life is good, does everything I want to, but I won't go through here. But if I was to start editing pictures a lot, you would start to see the processor really start to bog down. I didn't do gaming, so that wasn't a big deal for me. And if you want to switch between, skip this time. Obviously, you got the Windows 8 apps, and some of them I like, some of them I don't. So if I don't like them, I just open up the desktop application and run the desktop application. So still some things, but it's been working fine. You have to kind of find some of the right drivers once in a while. There's a couple little nibbles that came with it, but I've been able to use it every day now, lecturing, charge it about every 3 days, which is phenomenal. If I plug it into if this runs down to 50%, and I plug it into here, it'll bring this down to 5% and charge up the tablet battery, and when this is down to 5%, that sort of uses the tablet battery. Somehow they've figured all that out. So questions on that, but it's been working. Yes?
How does OneNote look? I'm just curious how OneNote.
I've actually played around with both. I kind of like the tablet version better. I actually switched from Evernote to OneNote now. So I like it. So I was just at a meeting before I came here, and those are my notes I wanted to give. They're basically layers from left to right, a little different than Evernote, but there's apps for all the same platforms now that I would use. So I switched over, so the OneNote also comes in Office 2013. So iTap has 2013, so the tablet came with Windows 8 Pro. I don't mind being a guinea pig, so I got Office 2013 on there. It seems to be, you can go into touch mode or mouse mode. I'm switching pretty easily. And for its responsive, all the Office stuff, and even like that, the PowerPoint slides I have is up to 300 slides. It's all my lecture notes are right on there. And now it takes 5-10 seconds to save if I do a lot of annotation, so it's really not bad. Editing slides, putting it in there, it's all been working out great, so that's the OneNote.
Geez,
store files on the tablet then?
Yeah, so so the memory, this one came, and it's the only version right now. I waited to try to find a 128 gig. This has 64 gigs, but it's got a micro SD card, the SDXC, which right now you can get another 64. That's, I think the long-term plan is up to 2 terabytes on that micro SD card platform. So it'll grow with me as I go. So right now I have 128, gigabytes. Yeah. So depending on what I want to do, I was a little bit more selective. I didn't dump everything on there, but I put all my favorite programs, and I got 30 gigabytes free on my original memory, and then most of my memory free. Depends if I put MP3s and different traveling items I want. So I got about half my other flash storage. But that's all built into the tablet on the card. So
Is there a USB port?
good. Yeah. So that was the one negative. So same thing, because to get it so thin, I think it's actually thinner and lighter than the iPad. They make some in 10.6. This is or 10.1. This is 11.6 screen, I think. If you plug it in here, you get 2 full-size USB ports that you can plug and play thumb drives. It actually powered my like Western Digital portable 2 terabyte hard drive without any power supply. So those are things I was curious when I traveled in. So if I have this, there is a little dongle that goes on there, which also powers it directly from there. But then it's like an iPad. You got to carry a little converter. It's got a micro HDMI port on there. Yeah, the basic ports. But if you plug it into here, you get your 2 USB ports, 1 on each side. I think that's the main, and then the docking port.
Well, you mentioned you were a photographer, and I am too, and I was just wondering if I was to do a setup where I'm actually directly sending every time I take a picture with my camera, that it saves it to the space that's on the tablet, so it can be almost like a mobile, sort of like a
Wi-Fi camera, Wi-Fi card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could easily set that up to do there. I've done the pass-through, same thing for traveling. I was wondering if I had to bring my laptop. If all I want to do is go through pictures and delete the ones that aren't in focus and different things, it works great. If we're going to start doing editing and vignetting, different things like that, especially with the new cameras, it starts to get painfully slow. You can do it. So if I needed to get 1 or 2 out, I wanted to send somewhere, you could go actually use Lightroom on there. So I'll leave Lightroom on there, but I won't. I'll probably wait to get back before I do a lot of editing. But you can do a pass-through. I can put my SD card in on one USB port, the portable hard drive on the other, and basically drag them across. So in terms of backing up pictures and things like that, I was surprised that the internal battery would handle the hard drive. And
that is surprising.
The video editing is mainly a limitation with the Atom processor.
Yes, the Surface Pro is actually an
well, they're coming out with a new version of what you have right there.
With the new Atom or new processor?
New Asus ZenBook. It has I think a $1,400 price tag, but it has the i5 or maybe the i7. So that's going to be a good solution for those wanting to do video editing with something.
With the battery like that.
You don't know how much those core processors are.
Yeah, well, Intel has the new core coming out, which I guess is more battery conscious and is powerful, whether or not. But the Windows Surface Pro, I was debating should I wait for that because I'd love to have an i5 where I could do all that stuff. But for me, it trumped the ability to have 20 hours of battery life for traveling and having it a little slower as long as I can do everything was ultimately the decision. And this was also $800. So.
Yeah, that seems pretty slick. I'm going to see if I can talk my girlfriend to that. She's a
my wife loves it. She wants one now.
Yeah, well, she's thinking about getting an Ultrabook, and she saw this Dell. It cost about $1,200, but it was a Intel Core 5, and the screen actually swivels on the Dell, so the screen doesn't come attached, but the screen is across. Therefore, keeping the keyboard protected, because they have a couple of Ultrabooks, is what they call them.
Yeah.
They have one, I think it's called the Lenovo Yoga, that the screen completely bends all the way over, but the problem with that is the keyboard's exposed on one side.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time researching, too much time to program in this room, whether it's a camera, or a tablet, or anything. And the keyboard has nice touch, too. It adds a little weight, but anyone that wants to play, actually, I can type quickly on there. I've never been a fan of the touch one on any of the things, but where I take it out at night is I'll read my Kindle books or browse the web. And then it's nice to take it out and just have it on your lap like a normal tablet. So
what's that called again?
This is a Vivo Tab Asus, I guess it's probably pronounced it, but Samsung has like an 8T, which is closed. Obviously the Surface Pro, the click ones are all over everywhere. They must spend a lot of money advertising.
But it's just a different version. It runs Windows 8.
So this is the, yeah, that's what I think Microsoft made it confusing, right? So this is the Windows 8 Pro, so it's anything that you have installed on any other computer, assuming you got hard disk space for it. So I got, you know, streets and trips maps. And this does have a built-in GPS and accelerometers and gyros and camera flash. Apps are still developing, like, it's easy to get an app to use your camera flash as a light flash. I haven't found one yet for the Windows 8 tablet. So there's obviously, but for me, it's, the apps are the fun part about it, but I can do all my work on it because I got basically the full Windows 8 Pro version on it. So that was really nice electronic card.
And how does Outlook come up on there?
So I'll open it right here. So I had closed it all the way, so it's, this is Outlook 2013, some of the other ones would be faster or slower. So.
That looks pretty normal.
Yeah, and then I have it in this screen layout. You can do all the different screen layouts that you want, but actually worked all day Saturday on email, so it's actually a lot less than I used to have. So honestly, because I haven't answered in so long. So I'm waiting. So I use Chrome, but I mean, again, it's like any of the things you want to put on there you can use. And in Chrome and Explorer, I have a Windows 8 version, which is more of an icon-driven one, or you go to the desktop version or switch back and forth.
I had to look it up, I don't know if you guys see it, the new one, I think it just came out, it's called the Asus Transformer Book.
Oh, really?
TX300, and it is an i7 processor. So
Okay.
obviously it's not going to be as good in battery life.
Yeah, that's the trade-off. So
Yeah.
if, yeah, I have an i7 desk or laptop already that I kind of need a 15-inch one, but I mean, it seems awfully heavy now. But I got tired of doing both on trips, and I do a lot of international stuff. So that was the main motivation. I was going for battery life versus.
Do you have a general idea what's the weight on that keyboard?
You can look it up there.
I don't know. You know, the weight. I'm just curious. I was thinking.
I think the tablet is, I don't know the weight, I think it's thinner. I mean, it's thin. This one's a little bigger because I got the 11.6 because I still wanted to use it as a laptop. The 10, you know, surprisingly, going from 9 to 10 to 11 isn't all that big of a difference, right?
I just know that's one knock I've given on the Surface Pro, it's like 2 pounds.
Yeah, this is a lot thinner and lighter than this. Well, with the keyboard on there, that should be heavier, but it's like having another portable battery with you.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing. We're all, it's interesting, I think we're hitting this time period now that
You can open it up.
we're trying to decide what we can do with these tablets. You know, when we first had tablets, what, early 2000s, they were laptops that had touchscreens. And then I don't think they ever implemented it very well, so those things didn't really take off. And then the iPads came out for simplifying OS. So now I think we're in this time where we're trying to determine whether we want to keep the simplified OS or if we really like being able to do some of the things we want to do with the full OS. So it's kind of interesting to see where that's going, and also if there'll be a response from Apple, if they'll have more of their OS or less simplified OS. All right, does anyone else have anything they'd like to share today?
It doesn't look like you have any notes from the last meeting on the wiki page where you can do that.
Yeah, we've been trying to get the video up and notes. Yeah, we'll do one for today as well.
Okay, thanks.
So as a reminder, our wiki page, wiki.itap.purdue.edu, and it's the iPad tablets users group. I think we've started getting slow on it, I think, because right now Confluence isn't world accessible. Only Purdue faculty and staff and students can log in. And that it was kind of a bummer. Like seeing other people contribute as well. But yeah, we're going to keep that updated for sure. Other than that, I wanted to thank everyone for coming. Our next meeting will be towards the end of April. It's already scheduled. I'm forgetting the date, like April 20 something. So it'll be our last meeting for the semester then. But I do appreciate everyone coming out today. If you didn't sign the sheet when you came in, if you could do that before you leave, I would really appreciate that. But otherwise, have a wonderful day. And we're here if you have any questions or wanted to ask us anything about the tablets. Thank you.